What's up, everybody? This is your boy Kirby Kirbs, giving you guys a player interview with my boy Slim. Slim, how are you today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Alright, guys. Slim, you probably heard him from SlimXTeamSymmetry or with that new fancy title that he got, the greatest YouTuber ever.
Uh, the next good. The next great YuGi-Tuber. Yeah, yeah.
So,
That was something else.
so I gotta, starting off, how do you feel to have a title such like that? How do you feel?
Um, like honestly, it wasn't like that. Like to me, it wasn't that big a deal. Like when this whole thing started, like Underworld had made the contest and was like, we want 20 channels. We're gonna have you guys square off against each other. Whoever gets the most votes, who most likes, whoever the people like, we're going to, you'll move on each week. And it was kind of like that. And like I entered because you had to be under 1,000 subs, and at the time I was, and I was like, okay, I'll do this for fun. And Devin gave us like certain video assignments. The first one was what was it? Under the spotlight, not under the spotlight, yeah, card, like a card like that wasn't even really noticed. And I had done it on Forbidden Chalice, and it was really funny. I was like, what card should I do? And like I looked through a bunch of random cards, like, oh, why not Forbidden Chalice since I run Lance? And I just did Chalice, made my video on it. People really liked it. And little did I know that Forbidden Chalice would actually be one of the like it side deck cards. Like it ended up being like something that all the pros sided, some decks main, and I was like, oh wow, like not that I had anything to do with it, but it was like, okay, cool. At least what I said someone would take to heart, and at least they could say that I wasn't like BSing it. And then it was like, with the other assignments, it was like there was creativity. One big thing was like a lot of the channels that got eliminated before like the thing even really started. It was like you didn't follow the rules. There was a time limit. You had to say certain things. You had to appear in front of the camera or show the card. Like there were rules, and it was like they just needed to be followed. It really wasn't that hard. And then like getting down to like the final four, because like when I made my last personal video, I shouted them all out. Yu-Gi-Oh! Musketeer, Xander's PS210, and Jamie the Kid 00. And it was like we kept it very professional towards the end because a lot of other channels, like not even like known channels, were taking this so serious and were like ganging up against like other channels. Like I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, Slim, you don't deserve to win. You have too many subs, too much of a following, blah 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 blah." And then they were like, "We need like these like up and comers to win." And it was like, well, I'm in the same contest. I've been given the same assignment. Let's see what they can do. Like their content could be better than mine. And I thought a lot of their uploads were great. Like I thoroughly enjoyed them, and we like complimented each other. We were never like, oh, your stuff is crap and like blah blah blah. And it was just like, well, let the people decide. And then it was like at the end, it was like, okay, it was like we both looked at it like it was just down to Musketeer and myself, and we were like, okay, it's like we don't really win anything. It's like, do the people like us or do they not? And it was like, okay, it's like I won. And it was interesting because it was like Underworld made a video, promoting Musketeer, and like people were like looked at that like, wow, they're making a video so that you'll lose and like all this other like craziness. And I was like, well, if I lose, I lose. I win, I win. I still think I made quite an impact on the thing. I did win, and I mean, if you looked at it, it wasn't even that big a deal. There was no ceremony. There was no, oh my God, Slim's the greatest thing ever, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, okay, cool. I did something that I wanted to do. I did it. Okay, cool. I can move on. And that's kind of like what it was. It was like people got to know me, and the whole point was get to know the channel, get some new subs, get some new content, and just get better at this whole thing, because it was just like a learning process. And so, I mean, that's how I looked at it. And, I was really happy to win. And, I felt like at the end, I did deserve to win, and I did, and people agreed with me, and I mean, that was the main point. So it was like, it felt great to win. It felt great to know that people looked at me and was like, yeah, in time, and the key word is time, I could be possibly a really well-respected channel. So that's how I looked at it.
Well, that sounds pretty interesting, but like, I'm glad that you got that title, and you really deserve it, because you have some good content. You're loyal to your subscriber. You have that connection with them too. You're not like some
Yeah.
random dude's like, okay, just take it in. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, end of the video. Have fun.
Well, that's what I thought the whole time during was like this whole thing about being a YouTuber and like doing stuff, for this game. It was like, it's like, am I going to go home and just watch myself? Am I going to be the only one watching myself? Like, doing what I normally do. And it's like, no, it's like other people are going to be watching it. So what's going to make them want to watch more? And it's their content, that the content they want. And like to me, it was like, just give your community what they want, and they'll watch, and you'll learn something in the process. Like you'll learn to do better videos because of it. So I was like, I looked at it like, if you don't do it for them, it's like you're only doing it for yourself, and like you benefit nothing in the process. It's like if I want to teach myself something, I'll do it. I don't need to put it on camera, just like being like self-absorbed about something that most people already know. I'd rather it be something that everyone can benefit from. So it was just, to me, it was just a really easy process. It was like, I can give my opinion here and there, but I'd rather want to know, what do you guys think? Because that's how the whole like community thing should be. Is that we are a community. It's not one person. If we lose a person, we lose something. If we gain someone, we gain something. It was something like that. So that's what I thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, your answer seems pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. But one question.
Thanks, man. Yes.
With a title just like that, are you a good duelist?
I'd say I'm decent. Like everyone always wonders, people ask to play me on DN, and like they think that that's a measure of someone's like skill level. And like, I'll win like a majority of my games on DN. I don't even do rated games. Like when you and I play, they're not rated. We just do it for fun. We're doing practicing in the process, and it's like you'll get me really good, I'll get you really good. Ooh, and it's like, does that really make you a better player? Kind of yes and no. It's like on DN, you're gonna get the DN hands. You'll either get the nut hands or the crap hands. And like that's not the same as like in real life, as where you're in certain situations, and also this is where like the psychology aspect comes in. You can apply that in a real game that can give you the advantage or disadvantage against your opponent. So like when I've had subscribers want to play me on DN, I'm like, okay. And like if they win, they're really happy. They're like, oh my god, I just beat Slim. Like it was nothing like that. It was always like, okay, I didn't draw anything, or you played better. It was a really simple process. I think like to decide like how good a player you are, I guess you just have to play your subs in person. Like for me, like I'll be playing at a regionals and I'll have subs come around and they'll just stand there, and it's like, oh crap, there's a little added pressure because they look at you as someone that should be really good at this game. If you misplay, not only did you misplay and did you see it, your opponent see it, but your subs saw it. So it was like, for me, I'd say I'm decent. I mean, some people say I'm really good. I don't really think I'm like the greatest. I have so much to learn, and I'm learning like every day. But it's like, had I taken this game a little more competitively and a little more seriously, I think I probably could have topped several events that I went to. I just focused more on the channel, and I think that now that I've established my channel, I can focus more on becoming a better player. Because I think there's always room for improvement, but if you're focused on something like the channel, that should be the first priority. So it's like, for me, now that I've established that, I want to just get better at the game and hopefully get like more tops under my belt, because I don't really count local wins or local tops. I count like actual event tops, and like for myself, I want it to be like 16 or better. Like 32 is fine, but if it's a YCS at 32 is fine, but at other like regions and stuff, I think anything above 20 is like respectable, considering how many people are there. But there's always room for improvement, and people always strive for that top 8. So I think that's like just something for me, because I've been playing since the beginning. Top 8 was always the magic word, like top 8, oh my god, top 8, top 4. And it's like, for me, that's something that I still hold true, and I still think it should be something that all players should strive for. So honest answer, you have to play me in person.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree on the DN thing. The shuffling system is just completely random. Like I don't base off skills on DN, because, like you say, it gives you the most randomest hands ever. So, and also the physical, and when you can see when they top deck into something, or their facial. It's like, I mean, you can always see that.
You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their. You can also see if someone's like if they have a bad hand, or like you can see certain things if you know how to look, like when you're playing. Like you can read bluffs, you can read cards like that. You can't do that on DN. And I think that's like a big thing, is like DN, to me, like my honest opinion of DN, is a place you can go to play out all your worst plays. Get them out of the way so that you don't do them ever again. I think it's a place you can go to learn from your biggest misplays, like so you won't do them when you play in like real life. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I do most of the time. I just go there to practice and learn from it, and then apply it in real life.
Yeah.
But also another question is, what deck are you using and why?
Oh man, all right, I'll be straight up. Right now, I'm using bunnies. Reason I'm using bunnies is I've always liked Rescue Rabbit. Like I like the card for how it looks. I made a video about the Three Stooges. I call them Three Stooges for Easter. They're an adorable card, and I love the deck just for the fact that it is like Samurais were like back when Gateway was at 3, and kind of the same concept of you win the die roll and Rabbit goes off. It was kind of like setting up a Shein, except you're setting up a Solemn Judgment in Lagia. And I mean, a lot of people hate the deck. Like, there's so much like trash talk about Rabbit, of course, but like I like the deck because I like a control-based deck. I like a deck that can benefit off your opponent's mistakes and can just lock your opponent down. I mean, most decks want to do that, and I mean, Rabbit's no different. Rabbit can draw really shitty. Everyone thinks you draw godly all the time. Like, you'll be lucky. I mean, sometimes you'll open two Sabersaurs, two Cabazols, and like a Forbidden Lance, and then you'll draw an MST, and it's like, okay, I got Vanillas to work with, but that's about it. Like, I have to let them survive and even go into Lagia or Dolka. So, I mean, people think there's no skill involved in Rabbit, and I mean, it might be true. Like, you have a Rabbit Tour Guide, and good protection, okay, you're going to win most of the time. And, I mean, even with Valor now, like, you can Valor Rabbit, but you minus 1 already. Like, I was playing today, like, I summoned Rabbit, he goes Valor, and I was like, okay, I'll banish it anyway. I didn't get anything out. So the next turn, he did nothing, and then I drew, and I went to Tour Guide, and he had no response with Valor. And it was like, okay, I'm going to bring out, Leviair, I'm going to bring out the Sabers, I'm going to attack with everything, and then I'm going to make my Lagia. And then he drew and he scooped for the game. Now, like, that could be considered like a skillless play because you had Rabbit and Torguide, but your opponent made the misplay of Valoring the Rabbit, and then when you banished it, they realized afterwards, oh, I should have saved the Valor, because it's like, if they could have gotten around Lagia, which really isn't that hard to do, a basic Inzector summon will negate, Lagia will negate. So to me, it's really not that hard of a deck to beat, and I don't know. It's like player preference. Like a lot of people don't like the deck. A lot of people don't like Inzectors. A lot of people don't like any deck. Like, there's someone that hates like literally every deck. Like, there's no deck every player loves. So I mean, like, the reason I play Rabbit is I like the deck. Like, that's just my personal thing. I like the deck. I like how it plays. Sometimes I hate how it draws, but like, if you can play out of those plays, you can play out of pretty much anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna build Rabbit myself, but got lazy with it. But Rabbit is a good deck. I mean, the plays they have, it's really good. And I mean, it depends also on the situation on the deck as well. I mean, it's not too autopilot, but it does, you do need to know what you're doing, or else you're gonna lose with it. Everything applies. You can't just grab a deck randomly and know what to play with it. You have to know how it runs and what place can you go into.
Yeah.
Now, one question, how long have you been playing this game?
Since it first came here, March of 2002. It started with, Starter Deck Kaiba, Starter Deck Yugi, and The Legend of Blue Eyes, White Dragon, the packs. We all started the same way. I was in 5th grade back when this happened, and I remember picking up the decks, and we didn't know really what we were doing. All we knew is Blue Eyes White Dragon was amazing, Dark Magician was amazing, and we literally just took the 2 decks and combined them into some monstrosity that I don't know, we weren't even playing by the real rules. We were basing it off the show, and there's no direct attacks, and a direct attack only deals 1,500. It was all this weird stuff that when I think about it, it made literally no sense. And I was like, it wasn't until honestly, because I was a little kid, so we watched the show too, and it wasn't until Battle City came around that we really started to kind of understand the game. And then I remember going to Toys R Us for this was the Duelist League back then, and that's where I learned a lot of the basics that I didn't know before. I had superior players tell me, "Oh, you're doing this wrong. That's not how this is done." Blah 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 blah. And eventually, you get better and better and better. You lose, you win a couple, and then you learn from those mistakes. And then you just get better, and then you go to more events, and you do better, and then you bring, everything to the board these days, and everything going in most of the time, which is an advantage compared to someone who's just starting out. So yeah, so I've been in it since the beginning, and hopefully till the end, because I don't ever really see myself quitting the game, because there'll always be something to do.
That's true. Now, what was your first competitive deck that you ever had?
It was I'm trying to remember, like, for Toys R Us, I was running Toons because Pegasus was awesome, but and because Toon Blue Eyes was amazing, 3000, like you couldn't stop it, and it looked really cool. But my first real competitive deck when I stepped into my first, it was either an SJC, I believe. Yeah, SJC San Mateo, I want to say, was my first real, like, SJC, YCS, whatever you want to call it. And I was running Dimensional Fissure, and I was running the one that ran Survivors and Scout Planes and DD Assailant and all this like DD removal, because at the time PC was like the best deck, and PC, if people don't know, was a perfect circle with was it Destiny Hero, Disc Commander, yeah, with Limit Reverse, all this stuff, just like draw to everything, just like smash your opponent with LADD. And I was running D-Fissure because I was like, well, you want your stuff to go to the graveyard, D-Fissure and Macro say no, so I'm going to run that. And I did pretty well. Like, for my first event, I went 6-3, and it was a lot different back then when Upper Deck was in charge, so I don't really know how I ranked at the time, but, like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. And, like, all I remember ever hearing was top 8, top 8, top 8. If it's a top 8, you had to lose, like, only one round. I was like, oh, well, I didn't do that well, but it's like, I can just get better, over time. But, like, my first real competitive deck was, I want to say, Dimensional Fissure. Either that or it was, like, something with Cyberstun. Like, before Cyberstein got E-banned, I remember running a deck with Cyberstein just because it was cool.
I remember that card. I used to do it for, like, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. It was just so sick.
Now, the key play, though, was you had to go to, what was it, Cyber Twin, because it was 56, Limiter or Megamorph, and you, like, win.
Yeah, that was just ridiculous.
Yeah, so those were the old days.
Yeah, we won't be seeing that card ever again, hopefully.
Oh, God, yeah.
that thing is just too broken.
Yeah.
But I think this is gonna be the last question for today.
Yeah, okay.
Do you think this game will ever die?
I've been asked that question so many times. It's kind of funny, and like my honest answer is no. And like a lot of people are like, Konami is going to keep releasing all these broken cards. They're going to release, they released Tour Guide from the Underworld. They released Rescue Rabbit. They released Dolka. All these exclusives that only we get. Card D, all these other cards, and like that alone should kill the game. I've had a lot of people, friends that have, like, no offense, but like they bitch and they moan and they complain about how crazy this game is getting. And like my honest response to that has always been, you don't have to do what everyone else does. Just because like all the good players run Rescue Rabbit or Inzectors, that doesn't mean you have to. Like, unless you're trying to be like them, you can go in there with any deck you want. You can go in there with, I don't know, like Tuningware or something like that. You can go in there with some crazy deck that literally makes, like, no sense to, like, everyone else, but to you, if you know how to use it, why won't you do well with it? Like, just because the meta says you won't, you can always prove the meta wrong. Because, like, a lot of decks have done that. Malefic has done that. A lot of other decks have done that. They prove the meta wrong. And dragons, like, let dragons be the perfect example. Everyone in the YCS Toll House or whatever it was, they proved everyone wrong. Everyone said Rabbit's going to win. Inzector's going to win. No, dragons won. Beat Styx, and, that's what won. Rabbit can't get around a 2800 beater, a 2500 beater that easily. Beat them down, and they're really left with nothing. So I think like a lot of people look at the game as it will die because all these crazy cards come out, but it's only gonna die like for a certain player if they let it. Like if they let Konami win, if they say I quit this game, it's too expensive, it's too crazy, then it will die out for certain people. But I think as a whole, the community is too smart to let a company win. And I mean, I don't think Konami would want anyone to quit because, like, then they'd stop making money. Granted, they've got more money than, like, most people in the whole world, but it's like, why would you want something to die? Like, it would never really die. It's like Magic. Magic's still being played over 20 years now. So it's like, I still see the same thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2016, it'll be 20 years because the game originated in 96. So, I mean, right now we're already going into double digits, and I don't see the game really dying out because it doesn't say that once the final card is printed, the final set is released, that's it. The format, the ban list will always change. Old decks will come back, new decks will be discovered, and it'll keep going. It's like a cycle that'll keep going. and there'll always be that overpowered deck. There was Teledad, Lightsworn, there's Rabbit now. There was Six Samurai for that brief like 2 to 3 week period. Gravekeepers. I mean, there's always going to be an OP deck, and there's always going to be that meta's anti deck that comes out. Let Heroes be the perfect example. They smack up most of the meta decks. They didn't get hit by a priority. They're a perfectly viable option, and they're a deck that, well, is a show deck, and B, a deck that Konami seems to love because they keep giving them more support. So if that is the case, that deck alone will never die. Hence, the game will never die. Unless they completely kill every deck in the format, which they're not going to do. So I honestly don't see an end for this game, and I really hope there isn't an end. Like, I don't think enough people would ever really quit. And, like, the people that are switching to Vanguard, going back to Magic, it's like, that's respectable. You know, if you want to do that, go ahead. But that doesn't mean you have to fully give up on a game that you invested, like, some time and money into. So, I mean, that's how I feel about it. Because I feel like too many people are like throwing in the towel and saying it's too much, and it's like you really didn't give it your all. It's like you really don't deserve to, you know, just say the game's crap if you didn't, you know, put as much effort as you could into it. So I don't see an end for the game, and I really hope there isn't an end for the game.
Well, same here. I hope it keeps on going. I mean, there's still some cards to get printed from the manga. There are still so many things to get printed. So I don't think Konami will ever end this game quite in a few at all. So,
yeah, I don't think it'll come to an abrupt halt.
Nah, there's so many new ideas.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to end it from here. Thank you, Slim, for doing this interview and taking your time.
Thank you.
So, please go check him out. His link to his channel will be on the annotation and on the description below. So, go check him out. Go check him out.
Check me out, guys. I got, like I said in the interview, whatever you guys want to see, you know, all you got to do is PM me. I connect on Facebook, Skype. You know, I'm always checking my inbox. I'm always checking my phone. I always try to reply to people, and I just try to get people involved. It's like if you think you can't approach a channel because you think your question's too stupid or your deck idea is not good enough, you know, I beg to differ. I think every deck deserves a chance. Every question deserves a chance. So it's like, come to my channel, ask your question, and, you know, I'll do my best to answer it or have someone else answer it. Because it's like I always have, you know, friends in high plays. I can always have them answer the question and just give you a better response and just help you overall in the game. Because I figure, why have a YouTube channel if you can't help people? So that's pretty much it.
True. And now you're saying that you can reply to anybody. Well, that means you're doing competition with Vesicus. You know, Vesicus does.
Shout out to Vexy though. We love Vexy.
He does reply to everybody. He's one nice dude.
It really does. Like, the last thing I want to say is, if people want to know, you know, where did I learn anything about this whole thing? It was from him. It was from Galactic God, Inch95, all these big channels that I'm sure a lot of you guys know. I've talked to them. I've asked them, you know, how do you do this? You know, how do you get these thousands and thousands of subs? How do you deal with constantly being questioned? It's like, you do it because you love the game and you love the community. You want people to take something out of it. And I think that's like the real gift, is that you're making a difference because people are actually listening to you. They're actually taking your advice. And I think at the end of the day, that's all you really need. Like, if I know that my one comment or my one response helps somebody, it's like, that's all I need. Like, that's better than winning a title that's something that, like, you'll have, but it's like, it doesn't have a lasting value as, like, someone actually taking something away from what you said.
That's very true. But anyways, thank you for watching, guys, and go make sure you check out his channel and
check out the man Kirby Kirbs, you guys.
Thanks.
I'll probably have an interview with him too, so get ready, man.
Well, I'm ready.
You think your questions were hard? Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. Well, anyways, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you. Peace out.
Later.